In this video, I'm sharing 5 go-to prompts that save me a lot of time every week. You'll learn how to turn messy notes into a polished email, get a legal dense paragraph explained like you're 5, generate multiple options in your response instead of just one flat answer, get honest feedback on your writing, and turn an overwhelming task into a simple checklist. These are the exact prompts that I use over and over in my life and business, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to use it too. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first prompt that we're going to look at is called Turn This into an Email Prompt. And basically what it does is take any messy notes that you have and turn it into a polished email. This is great because you do not have to write an email from scratch every single time. So right here as a sample that I have notes for an email to a vendor, and you can think of it as like, you're going to send an email to someone, but you're basically collecting notes through the week on your iPhone apps or whatever, notes on a paper or stuff like that. And okay, I'm gonna ask them these questions or point out something that happened. And then once you have all the notes, you can copy and paste that into Claude and then use this prompt right here, which says, turn these notes into a professional email to a vendor, keep it under 150 words and match a warm but direct tone. So let's go ahead and see what Claude comes up with that. So as you can see here, Claude came back with an email and it starts off with hi and a placeholder for the vendor's name, which you can replace. Hope you're doing well. I want to reach out about an upcoming delivery date. We've seen a great uptick in orders this week and our warehouse team needs a bit more time to keep everything running smoothly. Could we push the date back by 5 days? Also, if we're able to hit that new day, would the rush fee still apply or would that be waived given that adjustment? So it's basically taking what you had here, which are just, as you can tell, very random, not great grammar, kind of just all over the place, and polishing it up for you and putting it together into a professional email. And then you can also see that it provided you the word count and it also gives you the option to adjust the tone. Maybe you want it more formal or more casual, or you would like to tighten it further. Also, I will be providing all the prompts used in this video in a PDF in the description below. The next prompt I'm going to talk about is the Explain Like I'm 5 prompt. I don't know if any of you knew this, but I just found out as of yesterday that there's a short form for using this and entering it into any kind of AI model. So it's called ELI5 and it basically stands for Explain Like I'm 5, and you can use it on any topics or anything that you want to learn. So for example, Explain Like I'm 5 the US, legal system. And then the AI that you're using will explain the whole legal system for you like you're 5. So try this out with any AI that you're using, whether that's ChatGPT or Claude, and basically start off with ELI5 and followed by the topic that you want to learn. Now I have here a very complex sample agreement, and as you can tell, there's the use of a lot of big words. And at the end, it says, explain this to me like I'm 5, or you could just say ELI5. Use a simple analogy if it helps. Break it into plain language bullet points and flag anything I should be cautious about. So think of it when you're talking to a 5-year-old, and if you want to explain something that they ask about, how 5-year-olds can be, they're very inquisitive, they want to know about the world. And maybe they ask a question about the clouds in the sky. Why is that cloud so big and low to the ground? Why is that cloud lighter and higher up in the sky? And obviously when you're going to answer that question, you want to make it as simple for them. So you're going to give examples, analogies, and you want to make it straight to the point so that it's easy for them to understand. So that's the point of ELI5. You're using simple analogies, you're breaking it down into plain language, and then also highlighting and flagging anything that's important. So let's go ahead and press enter on this. All right, so as you can see here, Claude came back with a response. It gave a simple analogy, it broke it down into plain bullets, and it also provided a section about things to flag and be cautious about. And then it ends with, I'm not a lawyer, so treat this as plain language orientation rather than legal advice. Worth a quick pass by an attorney, especially on point 1 before you sign. So of course, if this is something legal or financially related, you will want to make sure to check with an expert if it's something that's really big and going to impact you in a certain way. But this is a good first pass to kind of understand something complex when it comes to those type of topics, and then working with an expert to help you even more. But obviously, you can also use this in any other topics. So like learning something about science, about health, your body, maybe something like, hey, explain to me like I'm 5, what's JavaScript? So that's another good example. Also, since I'm not going through the whole response in full, I will also include that in the description below so that you can read through it and kind of understand what Claude's response were. All right, so the next prompt that we're looking at is the give me options, not just one answer prompt. So basically, whenever I'm stuck on a decision, for example, trying to come up with a caption or a subject line or even content for my website, I always ask, give me 5 different options and make them meaningfully different from each other. So here I have an example. Give me 5 different options for a subject line for an email announcing a 20% off weekend sale to my email list. Make them meaningfully different from each other, not just reverted versions. So let's go ahead and press enter. And this is what Claude came back with. Here are 5 subject lines and each built around a different angle. So this is where this sentence is important. Make them meaningfully different from each other. And Claude nailed that. As you can see here, it went from different angles. So the first option was something that's urgent and shows a deadline. 48 hours only, 20% off, ends on Sunday night. The second one is open-ended and we haven't done this in a while. Then it makes people wonder like, ooh, what are they doing? What do they have for me? What are they offering? And then third, direct benefit. Your weekend just got 20% cheaper. Number 4, exclusive. A little something for our email list today. And then finally, number 5, playful or casual. Okay, fine, take 20% off just this weekend. And then it also provided notes on why they differ. So for example, number 1 leans on scarcity. Number 2 relies purely on curiosity with no mentions of the sale. Number 3 is the safest, most literal option. Number 4 makes subscribers feel special. And number 5 has personality and stands out in a crowded inbox. So test that out whenever you're trying to find ideas on content or something that you have to write about. Ask for 5 different options instead of just getting one. The fourth prompt that I like to use is the be my second set of eyes prompt. And what it does is basically review and correct anything that you write. So for example, here I have an email that I wrote to Sarah. Hi Sarah, just wanted to reach out about the project timeline. I think we might need to push things back a little bit because there's been some delays on our end. And I also wanted to ask if it would be possible to maybe get on a call sometime this week to talk about it. Whenever works for you is just fine. Now this is the prompt that I use. Review this for clarity, tone, and any awkward phrasing. Tell me what you'll want to change and why. Don't just rewrite it silently. This is good because this is a way for you to also learn about your writing habits and styles and what you can do to improve it. Now, if you want to go further, you can also add, please also check for grammar. That's something that you can do if, especially if someone where English is your second language and you're always worried that you're not using grammar properly. That's another thing that you can add. So let's just test this one out. All right, so Claude came back with what stood out and needs fixes. So for example, the first one says it's one long run-on sentence. The delay news and the meeting requests are 2 separate asks, but they're crammed together with and also, which makes both feel like afterthoughts rather than clear points. Splitting them gives them each its own weight. And then it also gives you other items here. I'm not going to list all of them. You can read them through in the PDF that I provide in my description. And then it also ends with the corrected email. So here's the version with those fixes, and then you can see how much cleaner and better that looks compared to my first one. So you can compare the reading here with the reading at the bottom right here. And then it also ends with a summary, the main shift, each point gets its own sentence. The hedging is dialed back to 1 soft phrase per idea instead of 3, and it closes cleanly. And if you notice, in my first email, I did not even have an ending closure. So that's what Claude added over here. Whenever a task feels too overwhelming, I always ask to turn this into a simple ordered checklist that I can follow today. I also ask to keep each step to 1 sentence. So let's go ahead and look at this sample right here. I need to launch a new product page on my website by Friday. I have to write the copy, get product photos taken, set up the payment link, figure out shipping rates, and tell my email list about it. But I haven't started on any of it yet, and I don't know what order to do things in. Break this into a simple order checklist I can actually follow today. Keep each step to 1 sentence. So let's go ahead and press enter. Alright, so as you can see here, Claude actually came back with a really cool visual for me to follow. Here's a practical order that gets you to launch by Friday without backtracking. Write the copy first, and then you can select the next button here, nail down shipping rates, and it also gives you specific details on that. Decide your shipping methods and rates before setting up payments, since many payment links let you attach shipping options and you don't want to redo the payment setup later. Set up the payment link, get product photos taken, build the product page, publish and do a test purchase, and email your list. So that's really cool, right? And then you can start over again to see, and then you also have the option to view all steps in one visual, which is nice instead of having to click through it. Now, if you want to go into more detail, obviously you're going to have to give Claude more information, give more specifics into the details of the task, and then Claude can organize it for you better. And that's it. Those are the 5 prompts that I use on a weekly basis and saves me a lot of time. And again, if you want to use the prompts, you can find them all in the link in my description below. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post weekly videos breaking down AI tools and concepts in plain English, which is especially helpful if you're just getting started. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.